So it's time to carry on with the exhaust, and I've made a few changes to it. So I have corrected the problems that I had on number two. So made a few pie cuts, blended all that stuff in, and it's not bad, it's not brilliant, but it's definitely better than what it was, and it hasn't got that awkward kink out or whatever else. So I am actually pretty happy with it. And this is all about learning anyway, so I've definitely learned some new stuff by doing that. Now, the problem I've got is I've got a load of collectors for my primaries, sorry, and I've got an idea of where the exhaust is, but what I haven't done is work out where those two sit in relation to each other. So I think the first job I'm going to do is throw the cylinder head back on the car with the primaries in place, put my exhaust on, and then basically make something that will fit all this together. So I'm just going to go and do that now, and then I'll show you where I'm at, because unfortunately this stuff's going to be pretty awkward to film. So I'm just going to do it. So using the, editing magic, let's have a look. It's not very easy to see from under here, but I've welded something to this to the secondary collector that goes to the bell housing mounts, and just up there you can see the two primary collectors, and there's the gap I've got. Steering gear is down here, which needs to go clean, which will be well out of the way by the time I've got here. Starter motor's out of the way because that goes forwards, and I'm going to add a little bit of length in here because you can see there's a bit of a gap there. If I push that all the way back, the collectors were quite close to the bulkhead here, so I put a bit more air of a gap in there, and it looks alright. So what I can do now is remove all this and the manifold, bolt it back up onto stump block, and go from there. So that's what I'm going to do now. So I've been thinking about what's the best way to go ahead and weld the exhaust, because I'm in two minds. You either sort the secondaries, now I've got where the primaries end and where the rest of the exhaust starts, and then do it, then basically seam weld it all, but I'm going to have to take it apart in sections, particularly for the primaries where they come close at the collectors, to get a proper weld on. That all sort of makes sense in my head, but what I'm worried about is halfway through this is all going to shift a little bit, and what I don't want to do is spend all this time making the secondaries and then find out I've got to modify them and whatever else. So I think the way I'm going to do this is weld up the primaries, get them all seam welded, and then put it all back together, and then figure out how I'm going to close that gap. So that's what I'm going to get on with. So yeah, like I say, I'm going to start by welding all the seams up as they are, as many as I can get to, and then where the bits where it's close, like at like I say, at the collectors, and also 2 and 3 on the flange, I'm going to try and get one of them done all the way around, and I'd rather suffer with one than struggle with both. Kind of makes sense. But I think I'm going to get on with that first, because once that's done, that's not going to move. And if I get the collector fully welded at the bottom, again, that's not going to move. So once I've got the secondaries in place and got it all cut and jigged up, then I'm all right. And it gives me a bit of a time to think about how I'm actually going to get from point A to point B, because I've not got a clue. So that's what I'm going to do. Santa's bin, and I've got myself a TIG welder. Pretty excited about this. It's an AC/DC, because I've never done aluminium before, and I've got about 2 hours TIG practice, so this can only end well. I've got myself a foot pedal, never used that. Got myself some new gauntlets, which are quite nice, and yeah, so it's an Amazon special all the way from China, so probably going to blow up when I set it up. So let's just give it a try and see what happens. So the welding's coming along. Pretty happy with it so far. I mean, not pretty, but they are structural. Say structural. Yeah, not bad. Right, so I've got as far as I can with this. I've tried to weld up as many of the joints as I can on this one. I've done a bit on the flange, but I'm going to need some help with that because that looks absolutely shocking. I could have done better. It's quite hard. So what I'm going to do now is take number 2 off, leave 3 as it is. Finish off some of the other bits that I can't do on both of these. You can see like where I access problems. And then what I can do is put it back together again. So yeah, cut this off here and here, finish all the welding, get back on with it, a bit like I did with 1 and 4, which are just there. So let's get cracking. Now I know I need to back purge this, or I should be back purging it, and I'm not, but at the minute I haven't got the equipment, and this is just about me learning, so bear with me. I almost know what I'm on about, but I don't. So let's just carry on. So it's been about 2 weeks and all the welds are done up here. It's functional, I would call it. They're not the prettiest, but I am still learning. This is about 2 weeks of TIG experience. So, you know, more than what I had when I started this. And I did have the position of the exhaust pipe as I rigged up earlier. So that's all good. What I had started doing is connecting these two together. I've already done the back one, it's tacked in, bit of a seam there just because of access. And there was going to be, I printed a load of pie cut, interlocking pie cuts, and I was going to try and make something, but the more I look at it, it was just getting overly complicated and it didn't need to be. Now, I know I've got plenty of clearance around here. So the plan really is to get this in position, which I have done now. So this is just basic straight piece with a small pie cut either end, just to get it to align. They're both, I would say, even, close enough. So the plan is to get this one tacked in, and then we should be all right. Should be done. So I better get cracking on it. Sorry, light's a bit off because torch is out of batteries, but the exhaust, you can just about make out, is fitted. And if I bring that round there, that is largely terrible, so I apologise. But yeah, collectors are in, whole thing's done. Only thing left to do is put the lambda sensor in, which I reckon will go about there. And that is going to sit in some free space. So once you think that's in, going to sit about there when it's done. I'm very happy at that. So that is it done. Apart from the lambda boss, I've got an idea for it, as I've just shown, but I really need to sit down, and this is getting way too long. So whilst I've got this off, I thought I'd end it here. Lambda boss is going to go around here. I'll get on and do that. But to say this is the first manifold I've ever made, pretty impressed with it. Obviously, this is with like a couple of weeks of TIG practice, so I've probably just about got into the double digits of hours spent TIG welding. I managed to make this, so very happy with it. There's obviously a lot I need to learn. Put that down for a second. So yeah, there's a few things I'd change with it, but that's something for a later date. Particularly, all I'm really going to change is the flanges from being individual to a single piece. Just have to figure out where all the spacing is, but not impossible to do. Not entirely sure I'd use those mandrel bends again. It'd be nice to actually try and get hold of a pipe bender. There are a few floating around, and I've seen some where people have used like sand packed stainless, heated it and bent it. So try and make it a bit more, not only freeform, but fewer welds, which would be quite nice. And also back purging is definitely something that lets this one down. But, you know, didn't have the equipment, only just started TIG welding, kind of just wanted to get a feel for it. Now, this is all about learning, really. But yeah, it's just stupid stuff like that. You know, from the first few welds that I've done to the last few that I've finished on, there's definitely a big improvement. So even though it's been a few hours, I think I've come on long enough or far enough to actually be like, yeah, I could do a bit more of that. So that's kind of where I'm at with it. I'm very happy. So without prattling on for much longer, I just want to say thank you for watching. Really appreciate it. And if you haven't already, please subscribe. And I need to thank 2 people who've contributed towards the channel, which is obviously an amazing thing because, you know, I know how hard times are and whatever else. So I need to say thank you to Gary at Rance's channel. He's got a Thames 400E, and I know he's about to start making his own exhaust because we're having a chat about it. So I'm hoping he's learned basically how not to do it from how I've done it. So, you know, let me know how you get on with that, Gary. And the other guy is Sean McCarthy, who is restoring a Mark 1 Cortina. So I feel his pain. We've all been there. And hope that comes along because it seems to be doing really well. And also, you know, I say restoration, the cars in New Zealand, it looks a lot better than anything I've seen here. So I think he can do pretty good, Sean. So yeah, with that, just want to say thank you for watching again, and I will see you soon when we're going to start making some, what am I going to do? Oh, trigger wheels. That's what's coming next. So I've got to go get some bits, probably get warm because actually it's freezing in here, hence the jacket. And I will see you soon. Thanks for watching.